Saturdays. Saturdays come with a lot of so many goodies, and I'm excited that we are here this morning to bring you Global Morning. All right, the weekend edition, anyway. So, should I be saying Happy Saturday to everyone? I know all attention is somewhere in Ekiti State right now. I know because of the election. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and of course, I am here on Global Morning Saturday. Today, I know you've not seen me on Saturday for a while, but Mukhtar Kassim is right here. I call him the man with many colors. many colors. That's the blessed man. Let me put it, sometimes you don't need to speak parable because in this economy, people interpret when you say man of the many colors. People different. I would like to do that. Good morning to you, Mr. Ramsey. Good morning to all Nigerians watching and even beyond the country. It's a weekend, and the weekend is always a different vibe, always cool and calm here, and it's something that I like, and I hope you're doing great this weekend, Mr.
Yes,
Ramsey.
I'm doing great. I was being tempted to call you Honorable Mukhtar Kassim.
Please.
It's because of that.
Please, let's keep it on the wraps.
Address people the way they dress.
Of course, I can also say the same for yourself because you're looking like an international gentleman, Mr. Ramsey.
I'm a gentleman.
Of course, you are.
The international is a good prophet.
International gentleman as well. There's a lot happening in Ekiti, like you rightly said, is in the front burner, and it's something that we've been looking forward to, and today is the D-Day, and we look to see how it pans out. Of course, we've said that it's going to be part of the litmus test ahead of 2027 election, and all eyes will be on Ekiti to see that INEC and all other stakeholders involved get it right today.
Yes, I think Nigerians, as usual, Nigerians have a thinking pattern, a thought pattern when it comes to elections in Nigeria.
True.
Let's see if there will be vote buying today. Let's see if the election is going to be free, fair, and credible. And some people have the school of thought that people who election results don't favor will always tell you it is not free, fair, and credible.
Most definitely.
I don't know. It's a school of thought, and it's their opinion. I can't hold them to it.
Most definitely, opinion is one that everyone has got a right to, and this particular election is very unique in many ways because there are many statistics involved. One of the ones I saw was the fact that no sitting governor in Ekiti State has been re-elected consecutively. That is to say,
that's history.
If you are a first-time governor, the trajectory is that we're going to most likely not get re-elected, but we can come back and seek another term. So let's see if that jinx will be broken today. And one other thing I saw was the fact that voter apathy, like you rightly said, is something that happens in Ekiti previous elections, where this particular election has got over 1 million people registered and 97% of the PVCs have been collected. But if you look at history, less than 50% turn out to vote on the election day. So we look to see if today will be a turning point of all of these statistics that are involved. So it's one that we should keep our fingers crossed for, actually.
All right. It's a good day, everyone. And of course, we're looking forward to what will happen after now. Let's take a quick break. When we return, Global Morning will continue because there is so much for you today. We'll be taking you to Ekiti State. There is no doubt about that because we have some persons that will be speaking to us from there. Would there be voter apathy? 97% of the voters card, the PVCs have been collected already, meaning we are going to have massive turnout. That's what I think.
Hopefully, but it's always like that, but we hope to be, it turns out to be like that. Because, like I said previously, we also see less than 50% to come out to vote, and that is a problem.
It happened in Anambra State. The worst happened in FCT, even which is the seat of power, where the INEC chairman himself has to visit the process.
Exactly.
There was still voter apathy. Let's take a quick break. We'll return and we'll continue with Global Morning.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debates, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
All right, we just went on a quick break so that at least you can make sure you have something on your table right there. We're about having a taste and a texture of one kind of breakfast. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but then taste and texture is coming on your way next. And of course, please don't over salivate. This is to give you a clue of what is good for a beautiful Saturday morning like this. Let's bring to you taste and texture, after which the newspaper is going to follow up.
Hello everyone and welcome to Taste and Texture. Today we're going to prepare a delicious Nigerian delicacy and we will be demonstrating it from scratch. Our delicacy on this episode is beans cake and pap. I am your creative chef, Saadatu Garba. Beans cake, popularly known as akara, and pap is one of the traditional breakfast options in a Nigerian household. Akara and pap is a hearty morning meal for most homes because of its light and filling nature. It is a delicacy made from beans, while pap is made from maize. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. Ingredients: beans, red bell peppers and scotch bonnets, onions, vegetable oil, salt and water. The ingredients for pap include pap, water, canned or powdered milk, and sugar. To prepare, wash and peel your beans. Add your beans, onions, and peppers into the blender. Add a little water and blend till smooth. After blending, transfer into a bowl and use a mixer or a spatula to beat the mixture to make it fluffy. Add some onions to your oil to make it flavorful. Fry your akara in batches until golden brown and transfer to strain the excess oil. To make your pap, put the raw pap into a bowl. Add a little bit of cold water, then mix. Boil your water and quickly add into the mixture while turning to avoid lumps. Add your milk and sugar and your pap is ready. That's it on today's episode of Taste and Texture, and I hope you will try this recipe on your own. I'll see you again on the next creative recipe. This is Saadatu Garba saying take care of yourself.
Yes, it's you, Global Morning. You're welcome back from that breakfast, Taste and Texture, and that looks really delicious, pap and akara. I don't know if Mr. shares that sentiment about how delicious that breakfast looks.
I was trying to control myself not to salivate, but when they were pouring that milk,
You had to.
I was like, oh, I think this is, I don't know, but after now, something may happen after the show. I don't know.
Most definitely.
I don't know. Something may happen.
Most definitely.
Because
After the show,
that taste and texture is tempting. That dish, that breakfast is tempting.
Good thing I've had breakfast. I would have really celebrated more, but then let's keep it on.
No, after the show, we won't get those things complete anymore because this area you may not be able to get, or else I would have said I will practicalize this thing today. Though I've been doing it before, but
today's one is
this very one.
Yes. Now it's about time for us to go to the next segment, which is the newspaper review segment.
Yes.
And of course, we've got a whole lot of dailies which we'll be bringing to our audience. We've got the Saturday Telegraph, the Punch, and a whole lot of other papers. But we'll be beginning with the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. That's going to be the first paper for review, the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. And it has the lead story here. Says, lawyers weigh in on judgment ordering the registration of political parties. And it has a number of writers. The first one says, Judiciary Microcosm of Rot in Nigeria. That is Ibironke speaking. And the second writer here says, political space becoming restrictive through judicial intervention. And the last writer says, hierarchy must be obeyed by judges at all times. And that is Uwazirike speaking. And details of all of this story you would find on page 2 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. And let's take you above the nameplate to the right hand corner where you see a story that says, court sentences mother, sister of terrorism kingpin Kachala to 40 years in prison. And it has riders. The first one says 2014 Nyanya bomb blast, man to die by hanging. And the second rider says Anambra native doctor gets 50 million naira bail. Interesting stories and details you can find on page 4 and page 8 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. And if you look by the left hand corner, it has another story here that says Kola Oyewo's son, how my dad endured being in same class with my brother to further career in theatre. Quite interesting. And that story you find details on page 13 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. And let's go below, beside the big story that is by your right hand corner, and tell you a bit of business making the rounds. It says CBN Forex reserves hit $51.04 billion. And details you find on page 4 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. And below that story, another story here says Tinubu orders security reinforcement at NIPSS, pledges to support families of fallen soldiers, policemen. And you find details on page 7 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. Still giving you more stories making the round. Below that particular story, one here says Senator Abba Moro interview, and he says Nigeria's democracy not on the right track. And he has got here 2 riders. The first one says, wants Nigerians to be able to bear arms, defend themselves. The second rider says, laments rising unemployment, poverty, and inflation. And details you find on page 20 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. And now moving to other stories, going to Ekiti Decide. It says police warn against unauthorized election results as over 1 million voters elect new governor. And the writer here says, announce ban on vehicular movement from 12 midnight to 6 p.m. And you find details on page 3 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. And the last story here for review on this particular paper is by the left hand corner. It says effect current price reduction, Petro1 tells oil marketers. And details you find on page 6 of the Saturday Telegraph newspaper. Mr. Ramsey?
Yes, these are very punchy headlines, and of course the one coming from Senator Abba Moro, who is my senator representing my senatorial district, saying Nigeria's democracy not on the right track. Well, it's difficult to hear things like this from people who are in power. I don't know, he's in the People's Democratic Party, and the ruling party is APC.
True.
He didn't say the APC administration, but this is a general statement.
Which means he's even indicted.
Yes, so himself is inclusive because he's also a democratically elected senator. So as it is right now, I think that is one area we should focus on, looking at what is happening in our polity, in our economy, and the terrorism and kidnapping, and of course everything that is going on in the society right now is a pointer to the fact that this is not exactly
one thing for me is I like the fact that, like you said, it's coming from somebody who is within the polity.
Corridor of power,
it's not opposition talk. It is someone who is in power. And democracy, we know, is supposed to serve the people. And Nigeria's democracy, we've been over 25, 26 years already.
26.
So the question is, how far so far has it really served the people? Have the people benefited from the dividends of democracy? That's the question. And Senator Abba Moro has said his own bit in this particular paper. And of course, another story for me that made the rounds is the fact that we saw one of the terrorist kingpins and his wife and mother have been convicted.
His mother and sister.
And sister.
Kachala.
Yes, Kachala.
I think from Kogi.
No, Kachala is somewhere around Zamfara State. Yes.
Zamfara State.
Yes. And I think they've gotten 20 years. And some people have said this is the right move in the right direction. But I saw other headlines that said, if you can forgive the repentant terrorists, in quotes, why can't you also pardon people like this? So it's a double-edged sword.
No, repentant terrorists. You know, there was a judgment. They went through the court. And according to what we heard, is that there are some persons that were compelled and forced into against their will.
Yes.
All right. So even though they were there, you know, they have functions, they have things that they've done. But this is a kingpin, someone known, maybe have been declared wanted. But all that I know is that a terrorist is a terrorist. All right. So whatever it is, I think the law should take its course.
Most definitely.
All right. So whatever the law the court decides, and of course the authorities, because they don't just do these things. It's after
So
we won't be asking questions. What does the mother and the sister have to do? There may have been investigations that have indicted them.
Of course, you know, some of them might be accessories to this crime. Maybe you know that this is a particular
what your son does,
and then you
and your child. Maybe you're even benefiting from the terrorism. I don't know. We don't know, but the court have actually decided this. So
I believe it's based on credible evidence before the court, of course.
The law should take its course. As we move to the next point of call, which paper do we have next?
And that's Saturday Tribune newspaper.
The Saturday Tribune newspaper for you this beautiful Saturday morning as we look at some major headlines. Where we get started from? Let's begin from the big story, which is the star story. Ekiti is occupying most of the pages of our newspapers this morning, and the big story said Ekiti poll. Amotekun vigilante groups barred from election duty. I think that's good because it's not their responsibility, you know. And we have some riders to that story. So you even imagine that it is vigilantes, all right, or Amotekun, all right, which is a traditional security outfit, coming to play roles in an election. Oh no. We have enough security operatives that should do that. So I think it's a right move in the right direction. But some riders to that story. This one said, armed personnel deployed to Kwara, Kogi, Oshun, Ondo border communities. For security personnel to man each of 2,445 polling units. That's in Ekiti State. Then the IGP, that's the Inspector General of Police, promises peaceful election, activates emergency response line. Now above the nameplate, drama as two lawyers appear for PDP in Wabara, others sued against INEC. Then we also have this one, I was avenging the death of my parents' brother. Cross River's alleged serial killer says, well, that's against the law. You don't take laws into your hands, as a matter of fact. Okay, whatever happens, I don't think it's good to take laws into your hands. More headlines on page 3 of the Saturday Tribune. Insecurity, impunity threatening fundamental rights in Nigeria. This is coming from a United Nations envoy is saying that. My wife accused me of using charms to steal her fortune during sex, man tells Ibadan court. A lot happening. Terrorism, court sentence mother, sister of killed terrorist kingpin, Batujo to 40 years imprisonment. NIPSS attack, Tinubu strengthens security at strategic institutions nationwide. two riders to that story. We were traumatized, rattled. NIPSS participants are the ones saying that, and of course, those are the headlines from the Saturday Tribune as we move to the Saturday Sun, which is our next point, of course, Saturday Sun.
Of course, the Saturday Sun newspaper has a different entire headline here. It says, the big story says, Abdusalami Abubakar exclusive, nothing like Abacha loot. And Riders here says funds in foreign account savings made by late ex-head of state for Nigeria. And the second rider says, why mercenaries may not stop banditry, terrorism. And details of the story you find on page 21 of the Saturday Sun newspaper. Let's go below the big story and tell you the story that says, Ekiti Guba, Judgment Day for Oyebanji. And Riders, Ekiti Governor Oluyede, others test strength in governorship poll. And the second rider says, why we can't stop vote buying, state wreck. Mr. Ramsey talked about vote buying earlier, and they're telling you why they can't stop that. Still making other stories that are making the round, a bit of entertainment. It says, why I jumped nursing to be in UK to be pastor's wife in Nigeria. And that is Reverend Bemi Olaleye speaking. And details you find on page 12 and 13. Let's take you above the nameplate to the right hand corner, which says tensions in Osun over PDP APC council takeover. Details you find on page 27. And another story here just beside that story says, suspected serial killer confesses, I dismembered bodies of septuagenarian to avenge my parents' death. Details on page 2. Away from that story, still talking other stories. Edo Security Squad arrest, kidnap, syndicate, kingpin, demolish suspect house. Details on page 28. And by the left-hand corner, it says, bandits invade social media, turn influencers. And Riders here, Nigerians beg bandits for money, invite insurgents to state, communities. And a second rider says, we are involving strategies to meet modern security challenges. And that is the Nigerian police speaking. And details you find on page 4 and 5 of the Saturday Sun newspaper. And that's about the much stories that we can take from this particular story. We move to the next paper for review, which is the Punch Sport Extra. Mr. Ramsey.
All right, let's take a look at the Punch Sport Extra and see the stories that we have there for you this morning. I think I'm excited to actually bring you this.
Because you're the sports master, I know I should be excited for that.
All right, let's quickly look at some of the headlines. West Ham chase Fernandez, all right? Then United make Osimhen dream summer targets. I don't know where Osimhen is going to go to.
So when
you're good, you're good.
You're good.
Right from time, even though they know he's not doing badly, he's not dissatisfied where he is, people still keep coming for him. So let's quickly look at the next headline. Okonkwo open to Wrexham stay. Johanna may make EPL debut against Aston Villa. All right. Then this one says, champs Arsenal battle Coventry in EPL opener. That's champions Arsenal battle Coventry in EPL open. I know you're feeling good. You're feeling good about that.
Obviously, I am.
But then, I wish you guys can get it back to back.
We'll see how that pans out.
All right. He's an Arsenal fan. Don't mind him. All right. City confidence of Anderson swap. Rashford won't give up on Barca return. That's Rashford. Well, let's see how all of that is going to end. Murillo eyes McTominay. Okay, McTominay reunion at Madrid. Hakimi eager to speak at trial. It was in the news this morning. The rape thing. Yes. I don't know. Most of these celebrities, I don't know why rape cases
It's always associated
It's either tax evasion or rape.
For some of those cases, you see that they are actually not valid. Like the one with Daniel Alves, I remember he was even sent to jail, and eventually you got to discover that it wasn't really the way it was. So
I feel it's an attempt to get money from them.
Most times it is. That's why, as a celebrity, even as a person generally, you have to be really careful of your company and your activities.
Yes.
You never can tell who is out there to get you.
Yeah, some women are like that, just trying to be cool, but then they have ulterior motive.
True.
USA joined Mexico in 2026 World Cup knockout stage. One rider to that story. Canada on verge of last 32 spots. Then we have this one which says Netherlands versus Sweden. Orange battle blood for Group F top spot. Right, for Germany and Ivory Coast, Mannschaft, elephant clash in Toronto. Well, these are all coming from the World Cup. Just take out time to see what will happen. Finally, happy host, USA join Mexico in 2026 World Cup knockout stage. Of course, I'm very excited about that. I've taken that before. These are the headlines coming from the Punch Sport Extra. As we move to our next point of call, of course,
the next paper is the Weekend Hope newspaper.
So give us hope.
Yeah, of course, there's going to be hope and light at the end of the tunnel. And Weekend Hope leads with the big story, which we've seen and watched other papers. It says Ekiti Guba poll, police on red alert against thuggery, vote trading, rigging, and it has a bit of quite a number of riders. The first one says, set similar surveillance for Ondo South by election. The second rider says, DIG, AIG lead security operations in Ekiti. And the last rider says, vehicular movement restricted today in election territories. And other stories making the rounds. Let's go above the nameplate. But left-hand corner, we've seen the story also in other papers. It says, Tinubu orders urgent security overhaul as NIPSS after deadly bandit attack. And the story in the middle says, EFCC arrests Nigerian American over alleged $320,000 vehicle import fraud. And to Ondo State, by the right-hand corner, it says Ondo Partners CIPM on workforce training, human capital development. There's a picture here. It says, actress Dayo Amuson to Peter Obi, you can't criticize government without offering solutions. And other stories, let's go to the bottom corner, and it says, by the right-hand corner, a bit of business. It says, customs seizes 12.7 billion naira expired drugs, 1.8 tons of cannabis in Lagos. And two riders, first one says, expired drugs meant for relabeling uncovered. A second rider says, smugglers faced swift, decisive action. And by the left-hand corner, it says, federal government plans to make journalists cover military operations to boost transparency. Mr. Ramsey, are you excited to cover those military operations as a journalist?
What can we say?
When duty calls. And of course, another story here, it says, I started making money only 8 years ago, and that is Nollywood star Toyin Abraham. And the last story here by the bottom, it says, mother, sister of slain bandit kingpin, jailed 40 years over terrorism links. And that's all the stories you can take on Weekend Hope. And over to the next newspaper for review, which is the Saturday Times newspaper.
All right, let's quickly look at the Saturday Times newspaper for you this morning. What do we have on the Saturday Times? All right, okay, these are the headlines from the Saturday Times. Let me begin from the Star Story. What does the Star Story say this morning? According to the Star Story, I'm quite sure that a lot of people would know that this star story actually is coming from the government itself. All right, let's quickly bring you the Star Times now. According to the verse 1, journalists to wear military vest march with troops against terrorists in combat zones. This is the federal government suggesting this. Some persons have been doing it already.
Of course.
Some persons are already doing it, but they are now making it open.
You want to see more journalists?
Yeah, they want to see more journalists because maybe they are feeling like the activities, all right, yes, is underreported, probably.
And of course, I saw the earlier writer said for transparency's sake.
For transparency's sake, because I've heard people say, how many times would they say they've killed the leader of
and he
resurfaces again and all of that? But people don't know, and someone explained on my program here that what really happens is that by the time they take out one of their leaders, the one deputizing
might take off the same name.
Take off, and the person bears the same name.
It's a title, then not
a title.
Proper name.
All right. Okay. So that's misleading for people who don't know.
True.
So you hear people saying, "How many times will they kill this man?" So he's back again. So I think it will be good if there is a proper education as it has to do with all of these. This one is coming from DJ Kupi. I can never marry a Nigerian. All right.
Maybe she knows the experience she has in the hands of Nigerian men. Maybe that's why she's making this particular.
Well, I think on which program would this be discussed? All right. Well, it's a choice.
Most definitely, it's a choice.
Sport. World Cup, Mexico secure first round of 32 spots. Then now this one is saying, stop celebrating judges' housing. It's constitutional obligation, ADC. Stop celebrating judges' housing. It's constitutional obligation.
Well,
we know that
the welfare of judges are supposed to be taken care of course.
Yeah, it is. But then some people are reading a lot of meaning to it. But I'm so glad that ADC is coming out to say, ADC is of the opposition, and it's coming out to say it is an obligation. It's constitutional obligation, because people were reading so many meanings to it, trying to buy, maybe somebody is trying to buy into the hearts of the judges or something, and all of that.
So the ADC is saying it is constitutional obligation, which means maybe the previous administrations might not have been fulfilling that obligation. That is why we see it being a strange phenomenon that we see this. But then again, it still boils down to, for me, if they are rewarded, then they should also know that that reward comes with a lot of expectations from Nigerians. And the expectations from Nigerians is that they do their due diligence and deliver justice in line with the constitution.
Well, I don't know, but then I'm trying to think of when Nigerians will start believing again that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. And looking at what is happening, if you get on the streets today, you hear people saying so many things. And sometimes you won't even doubt them looking at one or two things that is happening. But if judges are getting this, they should be comfortable enough to think pass judgment accurately.
No, I think it's actually, for me, I have no issues with with giving people rewards. Our reward system is one that we've actually seen to be faulty. Like with education sector, you see teachers will tell you teachers' rewards are in heaven. Why shouldn't their reward be here on earth?
Their reward should be here on earth.
Exactly. So our reward system is one that we should work on, not only for judges, but other sectors should also get a feel of it, basically.
All right, let's take a few more paper before we join Ekiti State. Go ahead with the next paper.
Because the next paper for review here is the Saturday Independent newspaper. And the Saturday Independent newspaper has something different from what we've seen. I watched other papers. It said, State Police debate. Can Nigeria trust itself with local cops? And that's the question. And details of this particular question you find on page 8 of the Saturday Independent newspaper. Let's go above the nameplate. By the left-hand corner, it says, NDA screening test hold today, Oyo government. And other stories by the right. I grew up in poverty, became millionaire at 20, and that is Rema speaking. And taking you below the big story, it says 15 political parties set for Ekiti Guba today. Rider says, as INEC, police assure safety. Details on page 6. And of course, other stories making the rounds. Under my watch, nightlife is returning to Abuja, says Tinubu. And other stories. I waited more than 25 years for revenge, suspect tells police after alleged killing of 2 Cross River elders. And by the right hand corner, a bit of entertainment. It says Kiki Unscripted experience remains a growing community. And that is Bukumi Ade Ilori speaking on page 9. And the last story here says farmer headers clash. Journalists allege humiliation in court. Demands probe over exclusion from own case. And details on page 7. And incidentally, that's about the much stories that we can take from Saturday Independent newspaper.
All right, thank you very much, Mukhtar Kasim, for those headlines. Everyone, it's now time for us to take a quick break. As we get into the first conversation, let's see what is happening in the Ekiti State. You can see that from all the pages of the newspaper, no paper, all right, that doesn't capture the election in the Ekiti State. We have something going down. If there's going to be a change this time, that is in the Ekiti State, sitting governors don't return as it has been according to record. But let's see if that jinx is going to be broken today, because everybody will say, well, it is of course incumbent government, and there's a way of finding their way back into office. But then reverse has been the case in Ekiti State. Right now, the gubernatorial election is going on. We'll get connected to Ekiti State after this break, as we have a civil society organization member and a human rights activist who is monitoring the process speak to us all the way from Ekiti State. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll go straight to Ekiti State.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On global television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust a multi-platform news broadcast, real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
Hello, then you're welcome to Saturday's weather forecast. After an active week weather-wise, we could see some lull in rainfall as we get into Saturday, and that lull will be pronounced over the central states where there's some level of inhibition. So we expect isolated storms over the central states, and they're expected to be uneven. Rain should be better over the north and the southern states where we expect light to moderate rains for Saturday. That's it from here. Thank you for watching.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
All right, everyone, this is Global Television and the weekend edition of Global Morning. Ekiti State, the gubernatorial election going on right now, have drawn a lot of attention because people are still trying to assess the strength, the ability, and the wisdom of Joash Amopitan as the INEC chairman. Remember what happened in Anambra State, what happened in the FCT Council election. Today, it is a gubernatorial election in Ekiti State. And we have some persons that will be joining us all the way from Ekiti State, all right, on the program today. We have Comrade Kashi O. Gerard joining us on the program all the way from Ekiti State, and we also have Shegun, who is the INEC Press Corps chairman, also joining us from Ekiti State this morning. It's good to have you join us, Kachi Gerald. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, very good morning to you. On the intro, I'm in Ondo. Of being senatorial by-election that is taking place today in Ondo South.
We will be getting report from Ondo and also getting report from Ekiti.
Can you hear me correctly?
All right. Thank you very much. So how is it going there? We also have, okay, let me introduce my second guest also, who is also standing by right now to join us on the program. It's good to have you join us, Segun Ojumo, the chairman of INEC Press Corps, all the way from Ekiti State. Good morning, Segun. All the way from Segun. Very much. Comrade Kashi, how is it going right there? How is it going down? Hello, can you hear me, Kashi?
Yes, I can. The network has been frustrated. If you can hear me in your intro, I did mention that I'm in Ondo. Can you hear me? Hello, Ramsey. Maybe I will have to change location. If the network is frustrating, I will have to change location and see if the
Let's get back to Segun all the way from Ekiti State. Segun, it's good to have you join us on Global Morning today. Hello, Segun, can you hear me? All right. As soon as Segun get established, we'll let you know. All right, let's get into the conversation. Kashi is going to be talking to us because Kashi is a member of a civil society organization, and for every election, they have opinion, and of course, they have the way they monitor the election. And we also have Segun, who is the INEC Press Corps chairman, who is also in Ekiti right now to monitor the process of the election. So, most times people will talk when election is going on like this, taking cue from what has happened before in previous elections, especially the last by-election in Anambra, even the FCT council election. One of the things that a lot of people talked about was vote buying and voter apathy, and it's a big concern. So what do you think?
Mr. Ramsey, it's a concerning phenomenon. Like I told you from the statistics I saw earlier, we have got over 1 million people registered in this particular Ekiti election, and PVC collection is over 97%. But if you look at the trajectory from the previous elections, the voter turnout was below 50%. We had about 47 and 45% in the previous two governorship elections, in Ekiti in particular, and that is that's very worrying, because if we want an election that is all inclusive, then everyone has got to come out and exercise their franchise. And the question now will be, why is it that we have such number of people not coming out to vote? And there are quite a number of factors, according to analysts. Some of them have attributed it to a disenchantment, if you like, with the electoral system, where they believe even if they come out to exercise their franchise and vote, will it actually count? Those are questions people have asked. And of course, INEC has told us that our vote will count, and that's why I believe people should not toe down the line of electoral apathy or voter apathy. They should trust the system and give it one more try, because it's better for you to try than not to try at all again. Of course, another issue, which is the issue of vote buying, is an issue that has plagued Nigeria's politics right from inception. We've always had incidences of vote buying, where people come and purchase electorate's vote. And it's one that has not really done well for our polity, because we clearly have seen the repercussions. You go and sell your vote for 1,000 naira, 5,000 naira, a model of rice or something like that. And then at the end of the day, you get leaders who are not really competent to be in that electoral position because you had a transaction with them. And they tell you that if you sell your vote, they don't expect me to govern again because we've already had a transaction and I have paid for that transaction. So you don't really expect me to perform, and you have no moral standing or moral right to come and demand accountability from a person who has purchased your vote. So we've seen that that's clearly a very big menace, and I just hope that this election, of course we know that it's impossible to completely eliminate incidences of electoral infractions. It happens across the world, everywhere, even in the United States.
It can be minimized.
That's my point. We try to bring it to the barest minimum. That's our target, and I hope this election, of course, we've seen improvement from previous elections, and this election, of course, is also one that we can have an improvement ahead of 2027. So we hope those issues that we've been confronted with would have improvement in this particular equity and the election.
I think the promises we are getting from the authorities as far as the Ekiti election is concerned is that everything so far so good is smooth. All right. So let's get hooked up with Segun now. Segun is on the line. It's good to have you back, Segun. I think there was a little hitch of network palaver. This is Nigeria, so you can't take that away. Well, glitches are bound to happen. We have Segun from Ekiti State. It's good to have you join us once again, Segun, as we will bring us the situation report. How is the turn up like? Do we have people? Have materials arrived? All right. Do we have people on queue already? What's the spirit like in Ekiti State right now? Is the excitement there? All right. It's good to have you join us again, Segun. All right. As soon as Segun comes on, we will let you know. Now, a lot of people, Nigerians, most times complain about INEC. You know, I was carrying out a research and like trying to check right from the time of Morris Iwu, down to Mahmoud before we came to Amopito, Jega, Mahmoud, Amopito, and all of them. And I was trying to see when Nigerians were once satisfied with election results. And I came to discover that most times, all right, Nigerians, since democracy, you remember, I don't talk about June 12 now, but, but since democracy, hardly before you see people come out to say, wow, this election is the best, this INEC election is the best, this election is free and fair. And most times, if you talk about this, people will tell you, America has been practicing democracy for how many years? How old is our democracy and all of that? These are the things some politicians, all right, and political analysts will tell us. But then, I don't see anything wrong if we get it right from now and build on it up to the future, you know. But Amopito, as it is right now, because the past is bygone, but then the problem is how to buy back, all right, the mentality, the thought pattern of the people. I'm talking about the electorate here. If the electorates don't come out to vote, because you can't tell me you have 97% of PVCs collected, then the number of people voting
will not be below 50%.
It doesn't make sense. It's an eyesore. It means you're not doing your job well. What about the voter education, information and education, the person in charge? What is the level of the education? Because a lot of Nigerians, and I always say it anytime, any day, if you are a Nigerian, don't say my vote don't count. All right? Play your part. Play your part. No, why it happened like that most times is because people already have a mindset.
Exactly, because if you talk about voter education, I would give credit to INEC. They have got that particular department, and we see press release, we see a lot of programs which are aimed at workshops, even for journalists, which are aimed at sensitizing the public. But for me, I think the biggest issue is the perception of the electorate, where they believe their votes do not count. And that's maybe because of the history. If you go down history, they've seen elections where it was clearly marred by irregularities and a lot of voter infractions. So that's particular, those incidences over time, I think has played on the psychology of voters, and they feel, why queue up in the sun for an election that might turn to be violent, and then at the end of the day, my vote will not count. But that's something that we should not hold on to and think it's a reality, because the only way your vote will not count is if you believe it will not count. If you go out there and vote, and then you follow there, of course, mechanisms that have been put in place where you can be able to monitor that particular process. So if you're able to do that as a voter, and all of us come together collectively to ensure that we monitor our votes, then we'll start to see changes. In 2015, if I'm not mistaken, the election that produced General Muhammad Buhari at the time to be Nigerian president was given credence, because people said their vote actually counted, because he had a massive support across the country, and we all in unison agree that election to an extent was free and fair. And other elections, of course, have gone down that line, even though, of course, we also have issues. But you having a mentality of my vote will not count is the first problem for me. Nigerian electorate, we have that issue. And, of course, it's up to INEC to rewrite that narrative. And I remember one of the addresses, I think the inaugural address of the current INEC chairman, Professor Josh Amopitan, where he said he intends to conduct an election where the loser of that election can call the person who has won and say congratulations. And the reason is because the process was transparent. I think that's what we want to see as electorate. And until we get to that part, I think we still have a bit of suspense and a bit of if you like, doubt as to the credibility of our electoral process in Nigeria here.
All right, everyone. Election is going on in Ekiti State as we speak, but then Nigerians are still very optimistic that, well, the election is going to be free, fair, and credible, because that is the responsibility, the number one responsibility of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And, of course, come 2027 in the general election, Nigerians are expectant, and Nigerians already have a perception coming from the just concluded primaries. People have not stopped talking about it. That's the reason anytime you host a politician on any political program, they can't finish their analysis without making reference to the primary elections that was held recently. But then, is that going to be a true picture of what will happen in 2027? Don't have that mindset, which may result to voter apathy, like my colleague have rightly spoken. Whether you like it or not, there must be people who may not be 100% satisfied with election result. If we can't get it 100%, all right, we should at least strike 80, 90, no, 90.
100% is not obtainable, Mr. Ramsey.
90.
Clearly, because even some people are not 100% satisfied with their maker, their creator who has created.
Oh, that's the reason people go bleaching.
You get the point. So 100% is a mirage that we can never attain. But like you said, even if we don't get 100, let's
at least if we can't get the moon, let's get hold of the star.
Let's strive for excellence. Yes. You talked about the APC primary elections.
Not APC, because somebody from AAC, when I asked how was a lot of irregularities with the primary election, and he said, well, it is across board.
Of course.
It is across board. Not only
primary elections are meant to say, and we've seen that and that, I think that's one of the reasons that people have also decide to stay on their mettle of being apathetical towards the political situation, because we see how that particular process went. I don't want to talk about it, but you clearly know we all saw how that process went. And people are saying, if this is how a primary election would go, what about the general elections? But this is, like we've said, for INEC, Ekiti, and the other elections currently are a litmus test for, no matter how bad the previous elections happened, that's in the past, like you said. This is the present, and they have a chance to correct that narrative.
Do you know that I strongly believe that Amopitan can make a difference? It's all about decision.
Of course.
It's it's all about refusing to do one or two things.
He has got all the
do you know where the problem is? But INEC can actually salvage the situation.
Yes.
When you talk about the conduct of election, INEC is not the only, they are not the only people involved in the electionary process. Yes, because we have the security, we have the media, we have the civil society organizations, we even have international observers, we also have people who are independent employees. We have NUTW, or National Union of Road Transport Workers. So this is a combination, and we even have the community, and we even have the electorate.
Of course.
Because someone said something some times back. He said, people are talking about rigging, that there are some elections that are even being rigged on behalf of the person contesting for that position.
True.
Because of overzealous supporters.
Of course.
Yes,
I agree.
Some people do it. Oh, I want to deliver my constituency, I want to deliver my council, and all of that. Even because they take pride in it, and they go do the extraordinary, you know, negative extraordinary to make the person their own person win the election. So when we talk about rigging, sometimes it may be beyond INEC, and that's why I talked about voter education. You don't need to do all of this because you're looking for a position and to the detriment of everyone in your constituency or everyone in your council. So it's not appropriate.
Even to your own detriment. You might think you're
even to your own detriment, because I've heard people say things like, hey, I did everything, but when they got into power, the person did not even allow me to see him anymore. So by now, I feel we should be wiser than we used to be, because day by day we say we want change, change came, we say we don't want change anymore, we change the change, you know, the change has been changed, and people are now saying change the change that was changed, you know. So a lot of things happening. But then this Ekiti election today, let's see what will happen. I was glad, I was excited actually when the INEC chairman himself was moving around FCT during the elections. Let's see what a lot of observers, a lot of people, tech people are monitoring the process. All right. And let's see what INEC will come out with. INEC has the bulk of the blame. Whatever happens, people blame INEC. They don't even care whether they are independent workers who are involved in the process or any other person. People call INEC.
Of course, that's because
so INEC should salvage their name.
INEC stable, because they have the mandate. They have the mandate to safeguard our electoral process and make sure that it's free and fair and credible.
All right, we have Kashi standing by. Let's get to Kashi. It's good to have you join us. Welcome back, Comrade Kashi O. Gerard. How are you right there?
Yes, a very good morning to you. Thank you for having me at a Global Morning Show, and one of the best and the uprising TV station in Africa. Of course, I'm currently in Ondo State, with regards to Ondo South Senatorial District by-election. If you can hear me, I can go on. Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
With regards to Ondo South District Senatorial elections that comprises of 6 local government of Okuti, Kupa, Irele, Shodo, Odibo, and the other 2, Elajo, something like that, you know. And from information we are given, because that the senator representing Ondo South was recently appointed as a permanent secretary at the UN by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration via the treaty that Nigeria have with international organizations like UN. So that makes a seat vacant. So currently, I think 4 political parties are vying in the Senate, and that is APM, APP, and the Bush Party. You know, from the information we are given by INEC, the voter sent in that senatorial district is about 673,000, 446 voters, and the polling is about 1,354 polling units, which is in 66 wards. So, so far the logistics, the arrangement made by INEC has been top notch. You know, with regards to sensitive materials arriving on time and other factors that are associated with it. Evidence of movement to enable free and fair elections, to avoid the issue of ballot snatching and what have you. So, but then, just as expected, we are experiencing voter apathy in those areas because the interest with regards to people is not that huge. Though the 4 candidates that are vying for that offices include Professor Dayo. You know, that is the APC candidate. Then we have Adeshina. Yes, Adesh. You know, sometimes to pronounce these Yoruba names here. Adesanya Ololuwa. That is the candidate of APP. Then you have Lendo Joglemi. That is the candidate of Boot Party. You know, the candidate of PPS. So these are the 4 candidates that are in Ondo South Senatorial District. I don't know if there, Ramsey, the network is really. Ramsey.
All right, it's like the network is breaking. Can you hear me? The network, well, the network is not so favorable. We are monitoring.
The network is not so favorable. Yes, true. I can hear you now, but I believe you get the report I gave you. Did you get the report?
Yes.
Yes.
The turn up of voters. What's the body language of voters? Because so much happening with the senators. What's the response? What's the body language of the voters in Ondo State? This is a by-election to replace a senatorial candidate.
Yes. You see, the electorates on their own knows that whoever that emerges victorious today, we have less than 1 year in office, because by January there will be general election, you know, either to consolidate or to replace the person. So that makes the enthusiasm, the interest, you know, not all that high as expected. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a vote up of up to 20% from what we are giving, over 70,000 voters. So it will be amazing if we get up to 20% of voter turnout, because the interest is not that much, because they know that whoever that is going there has to, you know, succeed Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, and the person maybe in a couple of months we also go back to the field campaigning to either be elected or what have you.
Comrade Kachi or Kachi, we'll come back to you later. Let's see if Shegun is ready. Shegun is on the move. Of course, he's on the move, and that's the reason he's not been able to establish a connection. He's on the move, and he has reached out to us that he's on the move at the moment. And of course, we will get connected to him as soon as he settles down. Ondo State, let's talk about by-elections that has to do with the replacement of Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. Had to be replaced, of course, because of international calling. And of course, less than a year this new senator is going to be returning back to the ballot. All right, but then he said, according to what he said the turnout, the interest is not that much, looking at the body language of the people.
Yes.
But don't you think less than, even if it is 6 months, a difference can be made?
It definitely can be made, Mr. Ramsey, and that's why I don't know why the people, even though it's a by-election.
That's why we're talking about education and mentality.
Most definitely, and I would not lie to you, a vast majority of people, except maybe people in that particular constituency, are not even aware of this particular election.
It's possible.
It will be surprising to see that a lot of people are not aware. So education is important. But for me, again, representation, in spite of the duration, is very key. If you think it's because it's a 6-month election, is a 6-month moratorium before another election, then you would not want to get yourself involved in that election. Then I don't think that's a good decision, because it is a lot in politics. Talk more about 6 months. So electorates should not consider any election with levity. All elections should be considered very important, because your future as an electorate, that constituency, the welfare to an extent lies in that particular, whoever it is that is elected to represent that people in the Senate. So it's one that I believe going forward we should all take important. No election should be taken with levity, basically is my point. And I like the fact that he said the election has been, to an extent, so far peaceful, even though the voter turnout is not large. But one thing is, we want to see elections where peace prevails in spite of whatever other circumstances involved, Mr. Ramsey.
All right. Thank you very much, Mukhtar Kasim. Let's take a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll bring you more update from Ekiti State. Stay with us.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Hello out there, and you're welcome to Saturday's weather forecast. After an active week weather-wise, we could see some lull in rainfall as we get into Saturday, and that lull will be pronounced over the central states where there's some level of inhibition. So we expect isolated storms over the central states, and they're expected to be uneven. Rain should be better over the north and the southern states where we expect light to moderate rains for Saturday. That's it from here. Thank you for watching.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
At Erojim Shoe Factory, excellence starts from the ground up. Located at number 1 Pound Road behind Nigeria Correctional Service, Aba, Abia State. We produce 1,500 high-quality shoes every single day. Paramilitary shoes, safety boots, desert boots, ankle shoes, back-to-school footwear. All crafted with state-of-the-art equipment and built for strength, comfort, and durability. For reliable footwear that stands the test of time, choose Erojim Shoes for better product, strong steps, smart style. For inquiries, call 091-264-53399 or 070-3009-3944 or 080-6573-8374 or call 081-3167-3668. Email info@erojim.com. Website www.erojimdesign.com. Erojim. Walk with confidence. Walk with pride.
Well, it's so good that this election is going on today. In fact, apart from Ekiti State, there are other places where by-elections actually are going on. But then our person from our guest from Ekiti is still on the move. We'll bring you the report. But then let's just give you a breakdown of what is going on right now with the election. It's interesting to know that this election, a lot of people are looking forward to the elections, and of course we are very sure that Nigerians will look at this election as one that will actually give them a clue into what 2027 is going to be like. And election updates, we have election going on in Ekiti, it's going on in Enugu, Rivers, Ondo. We just spoke to someone from Ondo right now, where he has said, well, the turnout is not so encouraging, but then election is still going on because at least a winner needs to emerge. But for Nasarawa, Kano, and Kebbi, elections are also going on. The due day is today, and at least for voters and politicians across 7 states, with 1.5 million registered voters in Ekiti State. 10 opposition political parties are in the race to stop Governor Abiodun Oyebanji of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC in today's election. We talked about that. Yes. Whether it is going to be repeated, whether the jinx is going to be broken, or because recent research has shown that returning governors don't always emerge. That's for Ekiti State in particular. Yes. Let's see how it's going to happen. Also for senatorial by-poll with is holding in Enugu, Rivers. We just spoke to someone from Ondo and Nasarawa State, and one House of Representative and one state assembly by-election in Kano and Kebbi State. Yes. So all of this is happening simultaneously today. But attention is in Ekiti because it is the bigger one, and this is Ekiti State you are seeing right now. But so good, the report we are getting so far has it that the materials return on time, and people are eager in Ekiti State. You can see, you can see this was. These were people that got in very early. But Ekiti governorship candidates, those actually gunning for Oyebanji's seat, are the African Democratic Congress ADC consensus candidate. That is Ambassador Dare Bejide, Dr. Wole Oluyode of PDP. Then we also have Akonde Oluwasegun Samuel of the Action African Congress, and we also have Opeyemi Felagan of the Accord, and others are Ayodeji Ojo of ADP. We also have Bidemi Olayo Awobemi of APP, Oyebanji Akusayodebe Alujoye of Labour Party, and of course Abodunde Ayabami Blessing of MNPP, that is the Kwankwasia Party. Then we also have Olaniwajo Ayodele of PRP. All these people are vying for this position. So the electorates will come out today and decide, and you can see them right there on the screen. And that's to tell you that the turnout is not so bad. You can see cars parked, meaning people have to move from different locations to be part of this. Then also, YPP is not left out. These are parties that people feel they are, I don't want to use the word minority.
Total, you have got 14 political parties in this particular election. People actually have a variety to pick from. Well, we all know how the polity turns out. The big guns are always...
people will tell you, of course, the big parties, I don't want to call them big parties because I am actually very optimistic. I'm waiting for when we will have these so-called political parties, all right, pave for other political parties.
It's a norm for big parties to be in politics across the world. In the United States, we've got the Democrats and the Republicans, and they've been dominating the polity for decades. The same thing in the UK, the Labour Party and the Conservative, all of those parties. It's not a problem, but the problem is when we stifle opposition, when we tend to monopolize the polity and only a few people are having the say. That's where it becomes a problem.
When you see people defecting because they feel you need to be in the ruling party before you win election. That's one mentality that I want Nigerians to wipe out.
Honestly.
And that can only happen when the issue of oath taking has been proposed by MDCs. That's happening. But then I don't think that will be possible in Nigeria. The issue of not allowing people to cross carpet in Nigerian politics, but is it really possible?
They will tell you that if you say we should not cross carpet, are you not infringing on our rights of association?
No, if it becomes a law. If it becomes a law.
Which means we've got to amend parts of the constitutions that currently allow people to change parties. Changing parties for me is not so much of a problem, but the issue is the reason behind the changing party. Are you changing your party because you have the people at heart, or you're using...
Was it in 2015? I know of a governor who changed from a party because he was not given a ticket and went to another party and still won.
Which means he was after his own particular personal interest rather than servitude to the people, which is what politics is supposed to be about. Nigerian politics is very dynamic, Mr. Ramsey. Basically,
very dynamic. I think sometimes we want to be forced to say, well, I love Nigerian politics, but then you can't take that away. But there have been a lot of promises. Even the REC in Ekiti State have spoken. The arrival of materials, the security presence in Ekiti right now, the report we are getting from Ekiti has it that there is enough security presence. But then I think gone are the days where we hear about ballot snatching.
Are they really gone days? But like we've said before, the numbers have gone drastically down, which is a positive development, and we hope that we even see more of that happen. And because democracy is supposed to be a game of choice, it's not supposed to be something that's rancor, it's not supposed to be something that would be violence. It's supposed to be you just going to the ballot, casting your vote for your preferred choice, and if the person emerges, fine, good and fine. If he doesn't emerge, it's also good and fine. What matters is supporting the person who's there to deliver the dividends of democracy to all of the people of the state, because it's not a governor, whoever emerges is not a governor of his political party, he's a governor of Ekiti State, which means he's supposed to carry everyone along in spite of the party affiliation. You can't say because these people did not vote for me, then I would not bring development to that particular part of the state. That is not what democracy is all about, Mr. Ramsey.
All right. Well, we'll bring you more updates from the elections going on, the by-election, senatorial, House of Rep, and all of that, and the big one, the Baba of all, which is Ekiti State, where we are concentrating. Shebu will still speak to us. He's on the move, as a matter of fact, so he couldn't establish the kind of connection that will be able to have him live on Zoom talk to us, but he has been giving us informations at the background of what is happening, and that is what we've brought to you just now, and many more updates will still come on your way. We already have someone spoke to us from the senatorial by-election going on in Ondo State, where we needed somebody, the constituency needed someone to replace Jimoh Ibrahim, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, who have answered a higher call. Right. Okay, we'll go on a quick break. Apart from the election, we need to look at other very striking issues in the nation, and of course, that borders on education.
Because education is, we're talking about leadership now. We can't have credible leaders. We can't even have leaders if we don't have education. So there's a nexus, basically. I don't know if you can remember how many times we've mentioned voters' education and all of that. That's to tell you of how important education is. All right, everyone, we'll take a quick break. After this break, we'll get into the second conversation for you today, away a little bit from the Ekiti election, which we are going to be returning back to much later. Stay with us.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Hello out there, and you're welcome to Saturday's weather forecast. After an active week weather-wise, we could see some lull in rainfall as we get into Saturday, and that lull will be pronounced over the central states where there's some level of inhibition. So we expect isolated storms over the central states, and they're expected to be uneven. Rain should be better over the north and the southern states where we expect light to moderate rains for Saturday. That's it from here. Thank you for watching.
an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On global television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
It's great to have you back on Global Morning, and this is time for our second discussion. We've been talking a lot of politics, and we're going to divert a bit to education. Now, education has for long been regarded as one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and, of course, national development. Yet, as technology evolves, industries transform, and the world of work changes rapidly. Many people are beginning to ask whether our approach to education in Nigeria is evolving at the same time. Now, for decades, we've seen success measured by our academic qualification and of course certificates. But then today the trend is changing. However, where we've seen employers and innovators and industry experts and leaders are increasingly emphasizing that skills, adaptability, creativity, problem solving, and continuous learning are taking center stage even beyond the certificate. And of course, Nigeria is also preparing for a future, and the young population are taking center stage. And we have had questions about raised about how the purpose of education, if it's really yielding the particular interest of the young people, and the relevance of our classroom teaching. Of course, the policies of our education are all being questioned, and that is going to be our conversation today. And joining us for this conversation is Mary Elisomi Okonloye. She's an educator, a consultant, and also a psychologist. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
It is our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. I'd like for us to start with understanding education in today's world, because when we talk about education today, should we still define it from what we've been told, which is that we have to go to school and acquire certificates and degrees, or would you say education has evolved beyond that particular perception that we have of it?
All right, so thank you for having me once again. From onset, I would say that education has never been defined as the limits to a particular setting or space. It's just because at the time it looks like what fits in. So I would say that education is definitely something that can be taken on and then practiced. If it is not applicable, it is not education. And if it is applicable and it is not learned, it's not education. So for you to say someone is educated, there must be learning and there must be ability to apply whatever you've been taught or learned.
Very important. Mr. Ramsey, you have an input?
Yes, there is this saying about certificate and certificate.
Yeah, right.
We've had people pass through the 4 walls of schools, all right, beginning from the primary, secondary to the tertiary institution, depending on individual capacity. Of course, we've seen people who only went to primary school and are successful in their own way. We've seen people who stopped at secondary school and are successful in their own way, and even the tertiary institution. So now, how do we get relevant even with a certificate? Because I feel I'm asking this because we're an educational consultant. With the certificate, just getting the certificate is not enough. That's what I think. So what's your perception about being successful having a certificate?
Okay, so definitely, like you said, certificate is not enough. And what makes you suitable or employable or successful is definitely not the paper. You get the paper, and we have a lot of issues. We have a lot of people who have the papers and certificates in quote, and they cannot even defend it, because you have a particular learning or course, and then you can't apply it. And when you get to a place of application, you're blank. So it's definitely not a measure. Certificate is not a measure to success. It's not. What I will consider a measure to success is the skill, what you acquire in the journey. And that is why I often say that the primary level of education is the most important. That is what helps in communication. That is what helps in understanding that there is more ahead. And then that is why someone who is only primary school certified can be successful, because what it takes now is your skill and the ability to apply whatever you've learned. I would gladly employ a primary school certified person who is skilled at what I need than someone who has a tertiary degree or whatever. Because what I need is delivery, and it is not just about the paper. And as a consultant, I sit on tables where we interview a lot of people, especially in the educational setting, and you see how we get disappointed because it's not just about
how to form my answer at this point.
Honestly, you get disappointed a lot, and you wonder what's going on. I have also a personal experience. I've been an educator, studied education. I've never had to apply using my certificate. My certificate is there, but no one would ask me. They would rather say, be in the classroom, let's see what you can deliver. Exactly. So at the end of the day, it's not about what I did or what is on my certificate. It is how much I'm able to impart the learners. My results. That's what has given me promotion and all of that. So the same thing here. So we should, I would say that we should look beyond. While it is good to acquire knowledge, gather them, but make sure that to all of that, now what is needed more is not just the paper. We need the application. How much have you gathered to be able to deliver? If it is not impactful, the certificate is useless.
I like for us to look at our education system in Nigeria, because we've had issues saying graduates are not employed in one instance, and we've had saying that curriculums are out of date. So would you say the education system in Nigeria now is preparing our graduates for the real world realities we see and the problems we're confronted with?
Okay, so in answering that question, I would first establish that no curriculum is bad. The method of delivery and the method of application alters it. No, because it takes more people. It's not just one, not two people sit to say, okay, this is the policy we're putting in place, or this is the curriculum we're putting in place. But what alters it is when it gets to the point of delivery, how do we deliver it? So in the setting, now when we say the educational setting of Nigeria, we see that we're waking up to the realization that now learning is beyond the four walls. Learning is beyond copying of notes, and then we're trying to apply skills. We see that even in the current ongoing WAEC exams, we see that some subjects, some skills were introduced, which is practical. Now it is not just the writing of notes, studying about animals and all of that. It is more of putting skills. So I would say that we're improving. While I will not say we're there yet, but at least there's a realization that there is more to education, and we're imputing that. And I would also say, for it to be more effective, we have to look towards the end of the delivery, those who deliver it. That is where it lies. It still comes from the skill. So if a skillful person is delivering, then you will know. So for instance, we have a subject like furniture. And then you want someone who can teach furniture, right? Practically. So you cannot totally look into someone who is a degree holder. That might be the boss, but the person who will teach the skill will be an apprentice or someone who is going through the learning process. So I think there's a realization, and I believe that we're working towards it, but the realization is the most important thing, which will give us the heads up and say, okay, yes, we're driving towards what it should look like right now.
All right. I think this would be a follow-up to the question he just asked. Our attention is in Nigeria. Even though this Japa syndrome, everyone will go study abroad, but our attention is on the Nigerian educational system right now. There is this perception that our education in Nigeria is in a deteriorating state. Are you of the same school of thought?
No, I'm not. I'm not. And why I would say that is because we tend, as humans, we tend to criticize based on what we know.
Okay.
And I always would say, if Nigeria is not worth being a country, it won't be a country. So what that means for me in the sector of the education is, if we don't have what it takes, that will not be existing at all. Yes, of course, there might be some things that needs to be worked on, but I would say that we still have people, we still have products of the system that are doing well. It's just based on the fact that the percentage is still small. But like I said earlier, realization is key. So once the realization is there, then we can say, okay, what is the problem? Let's tackle it. So I wouldn't say that's at the deteriorating stage. I wouldn't say that. I feel there is still hope. There is a place where result is. We still have our products that we can be proud of. While I will not also deny the fact that there is work to be done. Yeah. So
can we now say, let's get to the authorities now, the government. Is the government doing enough, or there is more to be done as it has to do with our educational system in Nigeria? Because I'll hear things like, oh, education in Nigeria, attention is on governance and all of that. I want to jack out of the country to go and study abroad and all of that. Or, oh, I wish my parents had money to take me to a private school and all of that. So what's your assessment of government's input in our educational system?
Okay, so Nigeria as a whole, every sector definitely needs more work. We are at that point where we understand that every sector, you know, which education is part of it, needs more work. And since that is established, obviously it answers the fact that yes, there is more that can be done, and the more that can be done lies in the hands of not just the policy makers or decision makers. The coming down to how it is delivered is like let me divert a bit to economics, and you say from wholesaler to retailer, you know. So when we realize that the policy makers, those in the authority, they can do the job, and then what they put out is quite good, but how much attention are we paying into the retailers, to those who are delivering it to the future leaders, right? So because when it comes down to that place, I think that is where the gap is. You know, when you look at it, it's presentable. Whatever we have, the curriculum, the policies, they're presentable. They are they posture test. Yes, but then what happens in between them and then those who are receiving it? In between that, I think that is where attention should be more attention should be paid to, and that is where I would say we need more work. But like generally in all sectors, Nigeria needs more work. Definitely in education system.
You talked about method, which I think is very important, because for me one of the disconnects is the method through which you pass the information to students, because it seems like there is a reason why the students are not getting it up to par. So what's the disconnect in that method, and how can we have a better transmission method for our students, teachers and students at the same time?
So as an educational consultant, one of our major curses is method of delivery, and that is one thing that I put out to schools to teach first, because like I said earlier, no curriculum is bad. We see how often, you know, it's attractive to say my child is in a school called British, this, that, but that is not the problem. The problem is how do we deliver it? So method of delivery, yes, is key. If you have to reflect and see days when we're in primary, secondary school, there are some lessons that you can still remember. Why? Because of the way that lesson was delivered to you, the way the message was passed to you. So the method of delivery is key, and our method of delivery is on rote learning majorly. Copying from here to here. We still have teachers who have the same note from decades back, and then they repeat the same thing.
Lecturers that don't even come.
Of course, they come and you know, and they just jokingly pass it, but it's so strong. It's not something that should be taken lightly. Once the delivery method is not passing the message, it's going to be copy, paste, and that will be the end of it. But the lessons we can retain from, I have some examples like Mr. Najadi. Mr. Najadi, as a science student, you talk about respiration and all of that. Yes. There was song, there were things that reminds you. So from decades after, you can still sing those songs. So the method of delivery is one key thing. I don't even joke with that. It's one of the major things that I address in my scope. You know, the way the teaching, the way the lesson is delivered. So if you pick a Nigerian curriculum, put it by the side of any other curriculum, it's good. But how do you now take it on? How do you pass the message? It is not necessary, all shouldn't be done in the classroom, just in the classroom. And then what is done in the classroom, how do you ensure that the lesson is well passed? How do you ensure that after now, this can be applied? So it's very key, method of delivery.
All right, this is very important.
Yeah.
Have you thought about the digital literacy space in our educational system? How important is digital literacy?
Before you answer that question, I was going to even do it as a follow-up, because you talked about the curriculum, because people have said our curriculum as it's structured might not capture some of those things that we have, emerging technologies like the AI, digital literacy and all of those. So how do you merge that particular reality we're facing now?
Digital literacy is, because we are in the world is evolving, digital age.
So what if I tell you that is currently is part of the curriculum in Nigeria?
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it's still about the delivery. Now it's on the paper that we are doing digital literacy, ICT, schools should have a setup of a particular number of systems and all of that. Where is the teacher? How vast is the teacher? So that is, when I was talking about the gap, right? So we expect that as the curriculum is being adjusted and trainings are being done for those who are to deliver the lesson, there is a follow-up. Naturally, humans we're naturally, maybe let me say, we easily get relaxed, right? And so for me, I visit schools, I work with schools, including government and private schools, and I see that there are things in place. But then you see that the impact on the learners is not measurable. So where the gap is still that. So if we would, to answer your question, I would say that we sound ready theoretically.
And it's a problem.
And it is. So now it takes parents to now say, let me outsource this to be able to allow my children cope. Meanwhile, it's something that it should be part of learning. I will cite an example. For instance, some kids in my learning center and around me, we advance from revision. You know, when exam is coming, there's pressure. Let's revise. I am of the opinion that you don't need to revise with any child to write an exam. Any exam.
If that child is well equipped from the beginning.
Every lesson retained does not need to be, there is not much pressure. If a child writes an exam and there is no good grade, that means that lesson has not been retained, that lesson has not been well passed. So even for my kids, we don't do that. What we do is normal study, we have a routine. So where I'm heading to as regards digital literacy is revision now. If you have to now revise, it has advanced beyond picking a note and reading it. It is about using AI to generate questions, study them, watch videos, and then go write the exams. That is the level. And for children, especially children between the ages of, those we call the Gen Alpha now, the younger ones,
Gen Z,
those that don't have any memory of no screen and all that, they think about that. Their thinking is so wide. Like, they bring it up to you, and you just, if you don't get it, that is the way they are tilting to. So digital literacy, theoretically, in the system of Nigerian education is there, but right now I see that a lot of children or a lot of learners who are coping with that, parents have to outsource because it is not well grounded yet.
So I see this outsourcing thing. This is, I don't want to use the word double tragedy for parents in this kind of economy. You still need to outsource. So my question now is, how do we bridge this gap?
Okay, so it is still, that's bridging that gap now will have to do with the readiness of those in governance and the ability to ensure that gap of when you release yours as the policy or this, and then you're able to follow up. But the reality also will be in the fact that knowing that you as a parent have the replacement for your child, and the school, the system, the government can always still advance, it is better that you pay that price so that your child will be relevant, so that your child will get what they need to get. And I understand the impact financially, economically, and all of that. But for now, we cannot rely totally on what we get because there is a gap, and we have to intentionally, as parents, cover it. So the outsourcing thing, if you have to do it, it comes from the place of knowing first, identifying where the gap is, which I have stated clearly. That is where the gap is. Those who are the policy makers and those who are delivering to the learners. That place is like you giving an instruction and you close the door, and then after you close the door, you don't know what's going on next. So that gap, the only way to bridge it for now is to outsource. And while we're outsourcing, we keep talking about it. We keep looking for opportunities. For me, I look for opportunities to sit with these people and say, this is what we have noticed. When I visit schools, I don't visit as a policy maker. I visit because I want to figure out what the problem is in the school and how can we help. So we get feedbacks that the people who sit at the level of authority needs to be able to bridge it. So yeah.
I'd like for us to bring to a bigger perspective. Education, of course, we know cannot be separated from national development, and our learning outcome plays an integral role in that particular regard. I would like for you to speak to education and national development nexus, basically the connection and how we can use education for our own national development, whether in politics or whatever field in Nigeria.
All right. So, like you rightly said, that connection cannot be taken out, and of course it can be a huge advantage. One of the things that I feel we should consider is to be able to listen more.
Okay.
Listening more. There's an assumption that experience is more important. Experience in terms of I've been here, this is how it's been done, and then you feel okay, it is right, but not at all times because of the advancement, because of what is happening. The younger generations tends to explore more, and those right now in the system that we have, those in that seat, they advance. You can speak to people in that sector, in that authority, that they don't even know much about the phone. The phone, and then there is a 15-year-old somewhere that will tell you the details about that. So there should be a place of survey, a place of listening more, so that we gather that information and ensure that we apply it for national development. We cannot even take it out. And as a matter of fact, if we're going to advance fast, there must be a connection. That bridge, we must definitely fix it, because we cannot dwell on what we already know and leave those who are experiencing what the next 10, 20, 50 years will look like. We cannot leave them out of our outcome. So listening more, carrying out survey, not looking at the age and considering the experience, but looking at those who are able to naturally relate to these things and advance in it. I believe that will help. But definitely I confirm with what you've said that it is important for advancement, and there must be a very good connection between.
True. Now again, the theme of this conversation, we've titled it Taking Young People Beyond the Classroom. What would that mean in practical terms, not just theoretically now?
So the truth is one of my favorite part. I run in the Learning Center, and one of our theme is learning beyond the classroom. And what we do is, we know that children sit in the classroom for some number of hours, and then we have other activities that brings them into our space, and we get to now teach in a different way, a way that the lessons are well passed, the knowledge is well communicated, and it is retained. So definitely learning is beyond the classroom, and there are methods. Going back to method again, there are methods to do that. One of the major things that we can't take out is, you can talk to a child and a child will forget. You can make a child speak and the child will say, oh, I can't remember the words or the lines of my words. But when you involve the child is not likely going to forget that thing. So for every subject, every learning area, there must be a practical thing that drives the lesson home. So yes, learning definitely is beyond the classroom. It's outdoor. It's on the experience of what we call excursion. It's on daily activities, home and school. It's not just in the classroom, which is school. It can't just be in school. Learning is home. So I can cite an example. For instance, if you're teaching a child, let's say fraction, and in the classroom you've talked about fraction, breaking these, some schools who are, or let me say learning areas who are very vast in practical lessons, will bring objects and say, let's share it, let's do this. There should also be a reinforcement at home where the child takes a portion of food and then you say, okay, this portion, if you share this portion into this, what is the fraction of this? That's way.
It's more relatable.
Exactly.
Because they're the ones doing it themselves.
I studied mathematics in my first degree, and until I graduated, I was wondering, how do we apply mathematics? How do we apply mathematics? But I teach mathematics now, and I see the practical part of it. Yeah, and that comes from my advanced learning to say, okay, how do you bring every topic can be relatable, every topic can be taught in a way that a child will never forget. So learning definitely is beyond the four walls of the classroom, and it should even be mandated. Every lesson should not just stop in the place of writing notes and this. There should be practical side of it, there should be outdoor experience of it, there should be home experience of it. And that is when we can actually say that we're teaching.
All right, this is very important. I think one of the things that I've deduced from everything that I've been saying is the last man standing, who is impacting directly to the learner.
Exactly.
So now, what do we do to upgrade these people, to overhaul that part of the system? That takes me to recruitment process.
All right.
Yeah.
So where is the problem coming from? Is it that the people are not qualified? Is it that they are not trained? Is it that they are poorly employed? I don't know where the problem is. So as a consultant, because look, I mean, you said you walk into a school and you see what the problem is, probably we interacted with the teachers and say, oh, but this or that, don't you? You know, so how do we get this problem solved? Because it's a major challenge. Because if you don't get it right from that down, as you are going up, it will be difficult. So how do we solve that problem? Parents are listening.
I'm glad that you asked this question because it's not one that I would jump to, but I'm glad you asked. So let me start from the quality of life. Why do we work? So we can make a living.
Of course.
And when you look at the system of education, I remember while I was choosing my path as an educator, everyone around me kicked against it. Why? Because they feel teachers have no lives. They have no lives, right? You will struggle with life. Right? How much are you going to earn? But over the years, things have changed. But before I get there, first, the attention must be paid to the quality of life of teachers. Many times, you know, for a very long time, the educational setting and the teachers have been based on passion. You see people, it's my passion. That's the only thing that retains a teacher. But when responsibility is bigger than passion, you will divert. So first, we need to pay attention to the quality of life, find a way to ensure that teachers have a balanced life. They are not treated, they don't have to struggle through life because they chose teaching. You know, as a career, because at the end of the day, when responsibility is calling and your family and everything, you know, you will have to look beyond that. That's one. In the place of recruitment, I already said that we can't ever bank on certificates at all. So what do we look into when it comes to recruiting? If we're also looking at that, you also need to consider the fact that to even get the teachers to recruit has become a challenge. Unlike, you will see the number, but you know that, of course. So you have like 100 people apply for a particular position or a particular classroom teacher or whatever, and then by the time you sit with them, you realize that from 100, maybe you have like 5. Others, you now say, okay, let me bring them in and then train. And so when you now train, you need to now say, okay, after training, let's monitor delivery. And once it is not coming from within, you can't force it.
Another thing that bothers me is I think it's part of the recruitment process from school. From what I've seen, people that are in the education faculty, most of them are either people who apply for other courses and they couldn't get in. And then you see even the requirements to get in our NCEs as the teaching certificate, all of that. You see people that have lower scores are the people who go into that particular academic pursuit. Why is it that we don't place that premium? We don't consider education to be top notch, that we have to give our best in education, the best people to go there?
Okay, so that's very correct, and I think it's also from the fact that you have people who are passionate, who know that I'm an impact person. I love to teach, I love to give it, but then when you consider the lifestyle, if I choose this part, how do I do it? And that is what will drive me to the fact that, like you said, I believe parents are listening, school owners are listening, teachers are listening. One thing is that I have practiced and I see it works is that your success is from your mind. Is from your mind. There are so many opportunities that can be explored. No school can give you all, maybe pay you to say, okay, this is all that you need in life. But then you have within you what you can explore to give you more. And that is why I would encourage that if you as a teacher or someone who is in line of education feels you're passionate about this and you want to be there, the only thing drawing you back is because, oh, they don't pay well. I need you to look at other things that you can explore to earn more. And that will come from the place of your ability to advance in skill. And also talking about your point, sir, that there's no priority on the quality that we get. I would say that not totally true, but maybe out of no options. So it shouldn't be considered as out of no option. There should be more demand so that people who are going in that direction will put in more effort so they get the needed criteria to be able to qualify for that position.
Now we're approaching the end.
Okay.
Before we go, I'd like for you to, based on your research and all of your experience, profile a way forward for us in basically wrapping up.
All right, thank you so much. So first of all, we must understand and believe in the fact that what we can do or what we can achieve in the educational system of Nigeria is more, and once whatever we believe in, we will not find it difficult to put in our quota in it, to support it, to make sure that it is achievable. So I would encourage that everyone in this sector, I'm talking to parents, I'm talking to school owners, I'm talking to people in the governance, in the authority, the educational authority, that we should not only do what we see, but we try and put in more effort to be able to reach out and ensure that what we decide at the top is able to reach the learners. Feedback should also be taken from parents. And also, to wrap up, I would say that as educators and as impact people on the impact journey, know that you are more. You can achieve whatever you put your mind to achieve, and don't reduce yourself to the confine of the classroom. The more valuable you are, the more you become.
Thank you very much.
But I'm thinking, I wish we could have more time, but I can't turn back the hands of time. I would have said, okay, let's just go a little more like 1 hour, because this is more, this is detailed enough and informative. So we will have you again on any of our programs subsequently. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much
today
for
this
having me.
Thank you very much. Now that conversation has been with Mary Okunleye. She is an education psychologist and a consultant, and we've been having a conversation that borders on Nigeria's education. And one thing you should know is that as the world continues to evolve, many believe education must evolve, not only to help young people earn qualifications, but to help build skills, solve problems, adapt to change, and contribute meaningful to society. And that's the side of the conversation. We'll go on a break. When we come back, the conversation continues.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Hello out there, and you're welcome to Saturday's weather forecast. After an active week weather-wise, we could see some lull in rainfall as we get into Saturday, and that lull will be pronounced over the central states where there's some level of inhibition. So we expect isolated storms over the central states, and they're expected to be uneven. Rain should be better over the north and the southern states where we expect light to moderate rains for Saturday. That's it from here. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a very wonderful time, all the way from the different locations. We've been able to at least get you a few details, and we brought in that segment to actually let you know that there is so much to be done in our education system. But then let's get back to Ekiti and Nasarawa State, where by-elections are going on. We've gotten some details from Ondo State, and of course more details will still be coming on your way as we get connected to someone from Nasarawa Civil Society Organization member from Nasarawa State, where by-election is going on, and Ekiti State. Shegun is still standing by to bring us few information from the governorship election. Is it going to be the same thing that we've been having, that sitting governors don't return, or the jinx is going to be broken this time? But then I think this would also serve as a litmus test, another litmus test for INEC going into 2027. But as a matter of fact, there are quite a number of things we want us to look at, because one of the things that have really distracted the elections that we've had in the past, taking cue from Anambra. All right, let's get connected to Shegun right now, the way from Ekiti State. It's good to have you join us, Shegun.
Yes, Ranjay. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right. So give us the situation report from the Ekiti State governorship election, the gubernatorial election going on there.
All right. I think it's a case of so far so good. Yeah, we began the morning from a couple of polling units right in the heart of the state capital, Ado-Ekiti. And those places we visited, I would say the process started pretty early. The first polling units we arrived at, we got there, the presiding officer was already given a briefing to voters at that polling unit, as is the standard practice. So, and then we moved on to the second place where they couldn't start at 8:30, but started just a little bit after that. Okay, and then when we left there, the place was everything was going on fine as it is intended. But from there also, we visited 3 or 4 other polling units where the process had already started by the time we arrived there. And other than the few issues with the elderly who had their thumbprints not being read properly, there was really no adverse no bad news to really report from those places. As I speak to you now, I am in Irepodo, Italudu local government, which is just a few kilometers away from Ado-Ekiti, the state capital. We got to a polling unit here called this polling unit is a bit rowdy. Let me just turn the camera so that you can see the background where I'm standing. Right. When we got here, it was a bit noisy, a bit rowdy, and when we sort of find out what the problem was, and it had to do with the location of the ballot box. Some said, it was too close to the presiding officers. Eventually, they agreed to move it very close to the voting cubicles and then the voting booth. And once that was done, the situation was resolved, and the process resumed soon afterwards. So, so far so good.
Shegun, all the way from Ekiti State. But then, how is INEC presence, perceived by the people there? Because as it is right now, we know there are security presence, but what's the body language of the people? Because one of the things that people will be looking out for mostly is voter apathy and of course vote buying, which may not be ascertained until after
the elections. But what are you perceiving? How is the general outcome like? Give it percentage 1 to 10.
Yeah, is that question for me? Yeah. Say that again.
I said, can you hear me now?
Okay.
I know it's noisy where you are. How is the general conduct of the people and, of course, the officials?
Okay. I think the conduct of officials has been pretty decent and professional. I mean, the places we visited. The good news is in these places you have visible presence of police officers. You've seen people from officers from the Immigration Service, the NSCDC. They are all on ground to make sure that the process is smooth and it is safe. Where I am presently, it's a place where we have 527 registered voters, and I think there's been a decent turnout here, to judge by the numbers I can see, from my own vantage point. And I think that's the picture we've also gotten in the areas we visited in the state capital. The picture could be a bit different in other places, but we don't have that fact yet. I guess we have to wait and see until we start getting some reports, especially from the civil society observers who are scattered around the 16 local government areas of the state. But for now, in the places we visited, the turnout has been pretty healthy, with both young and old voters eager to, exercise their franchise. And let me tell you also quickly that we were able to speak with the CP, the Commissioner of Police, in charge of this governorship election. That is CP Abayomi Shobole. And he was also asked about the general conduct, the security situation here, and he told us as of the time we were speaking to him, there was no adverse news, no negative reports had come in from any of the local governments that his men are supervising. And we asked him also about vote trading arrest. He said as of that moment, there was no such thing anywhere in the state. So that's the update.
Right, thank you very much, Segun. That is beautiful, that's fantastic. Very big thank you for joining us. We'll get more details which will be coming up much later from you. Thank you very much for joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning, all the way from Ekiti State. All right, let's move a little bit to Nasarawa now and get Aye speak to us about the situation in Nasarawa where the by-election is also going on. We already spoke to Akashi all the way from Ondo State, and of course, from what we heard from Ondo State, the body language of the people is not so encouraging because they felt probably maybe the incoming senator may not spend too much time. So I don't know whether they are feeling like whatever he would want to do in that space of time, he should go ahead and do it. So whoever emerges is not our concern. But then election will definitely go on because that's the only process that will be able to bring him to office. In, like we told you, by-elections are also going on in some parts of the country, including Nasarawa State, where we have a civil society organization member who is going to be speaking to us, and of course Aye is already there. And we will not stop talking about the fact that this is going to serve as a litmus test and of course prepare INEC for the bigger assignments come 2027, whether you like it or not. It is a big fight. A lot of people call it the last fight. But then INEC have been fingered for a lot of things over different incidences. But then, is the table going to turn around this time, looking at the way the by-election is going? So far from Ekiti State, it is a smooth ride from the locations that we had
Shegun spoke to us from. But then, for Ondo State, it's a different ball game as it has to do with turnout because voter apathy already has been recorded there where we needed a senator in that senatorial district to represent Senator Jimo Ibrahim. Then in Nasarawa State, let's get what's happening in Nasarawa State in a few minutes. All right, Aye is having some difficulty connecting to us because of network issues. Let's take a quick break. After this break, we'll return and of course we'll take you to the next level on the Daybreak Show, the Global Morning for Saturday edition. Stay with us.
Hello out there, you're welcome to Saturday's weather forecast. After an active week weather-wise, we could see some lull in rainfall as we get into Saturday, and that lull will be pronounced over the central states where there's some level of inhibition. So we expect isolated storms over the central states, and they're expected to be uneven. Rain should be better over the north and the southern states where we expect light to moderate rains for Saturday. That's it from here. Thank you for watching.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Thank you everyone for being part of the weekend edition, the Saturday edition of Global Morning. We've been able to give you a few updates from Ondo and of where a by-election is going on, and of course Ekiti State, where Shegun spoke to us extensively. Thank you very much, Shegun, for joining us, and thank you very much, Comrade Kashi, for joining us. Unfortunately, technical issues couldn't allow Yulola join us from Nasarawa State. But then, all you have to do is keep in touch with Global Television, as more details will be coming to you via our various bulletins for the day. This is going to be the size of the conversation. It's been a very wonderful time.
Definitely it has been. It's been a very wonderful time. And I like the review I got from the person in Ekiti State as to the conduct of the election. My message to all the electorate out there, the voters, is vote, don't fight. Exercise your franchise in the most civil manner possible.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for being part of the conversation. I will bring you more details from the by-elections in our bulletins for the day. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo.
And I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for being part of the program.
Bye-bye for now, everyone.